All right, so people have been malding about the Acolyte episode 3. They're upset. Now, me personally, you can watch my review. I liked it. You know, I'm enjoying the show so far, but I'm also not really that big of a Star Wars fan. Okay, I didn't know that the episode broke the lore. Okay, I wasn't there to be like, in episode 3 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, this thing happened and this is contradicting that. I'm sorry, I wasn't. I didn't know. So I want to educate myself. Now, I will say, based on what I've been able to gather, I believe the reason why it broke the lore was because they create, so the mama lady, I don't remember what her real name was, but the leader of the coven created the twins using the Force, and I guess that Anakin was supposed to be the only person for that to have ever happened to. I guess that's the thing. I think that's the lore breaking thing. So we'll see if that's what Jeremy Johns brings up. So, oh yeah, we're watching a Jeremy Johns video because he titled it "Lore Breaking Character Assassination." Okay, let's go.
Hi. So episode 3 of The Acolyte has aired. The episode that it was infamous before the show even aired. Those have been the whispers. This is the episode that will divide the fan base. Divide the already divided fan base. So, quarter the original.
Was that a thing? Did people already know that this episode was going to be divisive? Is this episode even divisive? I feel like most people just hate it. Maybe the people that dislike the show are just louder than the people that like it, but I don't know. Every time I go on Twitter, it doesn't feel divisive. It feels like it leans towards the "we don't like the Acolyte" side of things.
Fan base, but I go into things like this with the mindset of I gotta see it for myself. Unless it's coming from a very trusted source, we're talking someone in my personal inner circle of friends who has the same taste as me. I gotta see it for myself. So I was gonna give my liver the week off. Yeah, here we are. So that's a spoiler warning, as this is me talking about the episode. If you have not seen episode 3 of The Acolyte, as always, is it not going to be a play-by-play? Just bringing up a couple points, in fact. Just a couple things in here stood out to me. So this is the flashback episode. This takes place 15, 16 years or so in the past. These two Force-wielding girls strike that thread-wielding girls. These two girls live among this coven of witches in this big stone fortress of solitude, and we get a different lesson on the Force. It's not called the Force, it's the thread. On the surface, I was like, I would imagine...
I'm trying to remember. Did they not refer to it as the Force ever? I'm trying to remember. I guess not. Okay.
In a world of the Force, in a galaxy of the Force, there will be other pockets of people who use the Force, call it something different. I mean, we see that with religions, right? We take the faith of Christianity. You have all these religions dealing with the same concept, but going about it a different way, saying they're the ones who have the true answer. It's a compelling enough idea to explore what would another group, another religion based around the Force, how would they explore the Force? However, how it's executed in The Acolyte does come across as what you knew before is not correct.
No? What? I don't know. I never thought about it that way.
Thread is the correct lore. Yeah.
I never once thought about it that way. I don't know.
Gonna piss fans off. I mean, the twins were created with the thread. Before you have Anakin Skywalker, there was no father. Immaculate conception of the Force, conceived by the midichlorians. And whether or not you liked Anakin Skywalker being Space Jesus to bring balance to the Force, point is, that was a special thing. A thing that doesn't just happen. But now it happens with twins. Before it was the tread.
Well, it didn't just happen. They were created by the witch lady. So technically, that is still special. Like, to be clear, Anakin just happened, right? Again, I could be wrong about that. I'm not a Star Wars lore guy, but I don't think he was created by anybody specifically. Wasn't he created by the Force itself? Like, she just became pregnant? Was like, did Palpatine fucking rail Shmi, whatever the fuck? Is it? Again, I could be wrong, but I don't think that anybody actually, like, put forth the effort of making Anakin. They like actually put forth the effort to make the twins. So I don't know that that necessarily makes Anakin unspecial in that regard, as you describe it. Just putting that out there.
Tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. A vague story in which it might imply Plagueis created Anakin, or maybe it was just the Force.
Okay, I don't know.
Either way.
By the way, I know people always talk about Plagueis. I literally have no idea what that guy's about. I just don't know.
Hey, it's an anomaly that's not usual. It's not regular. It doesn't just happen. You can't do it. Even when Anakin turns to the dark side, he's like, okay, the whole creating life thing.
But like even okay, so let's take all of that. It also didn't just happen here. Like we don't know that this person we don't know that this coven is just able to do this. Like for all we know, it is a miracle that these twins were able to be created. Like something happening twice doesn't make it not an incredibly rare thing. So I don't know that this is necessarily. I don't know that I necessarily agree with this, to be honest.
Dang. Let's go. Where do we start? Palpatine's like, this may be a bit awkward. I may have exaggerated a little bit on my ability to.
Factor provides balanced eating made simple.
They provide a new menu every week with delicious, nutritious meals.
Actually do that.
To cheat death is a power only
A coven of witches.
has achieved.
What are the odds they're gonna tie
Wait, what?
the ability to
I don't think I
the
understand
whole
this.
creating life? It doesn't just happen. You can't do it. Even when Anakin turns to the dark side, he's like, okay, the whole creating life thing. Let's go. Where do we start? Palpatine's like, this may be a bit awkward. I may have exaggerated a little bit on my ability to actually do that.
To cheat death is a power only
A coven of witches.
has achieved.
What are the odds they're gonna tie
What was
this
the actual answer?
into how Shmi Skywalker actually became pregnant with Anakin Skywalker?
Okay. So if I'm understanding this correctly, are we saying that? Because again, I don't remember the Star Wars lore. Okay, so we're saying that it was left ambiguous as to whether or not Anakin was actually created by somebody, or whether or not like the Force just did it like naturally, like without being influenced by somebody. And so now Star Wars fans are mad because the Acolyte is now saying that somebody has actually created a Force user in the past, so that removes the mystery of Anakin, and that somebody probably created Anakin. Is that what we're saying? Is that why people are mad? Because the whole idea of it like now no longer being a special thing, I don't know that I would agree with that, just because something happening twice doesn't make it not special. You know what I mean? Like it could still be a rare thing. It could still be a miracle that the witch was able to do this. Like for all we know, like she's tried to do it her entire life and she was never able to do it until she made the twins. I mean, I feel like that's possible. Maybe I'm misremembering. I don't think that they ever said that they've done this before aside from the twins. Like it could still be a very special thing. So, I don't know.
Skywalker. We will see. Canon breaking, lore busting, absolutely. How would they not know that would be the case? You're taking a Star Wars moment that's non-replicatable. People in that world cannot duplicate that anomaly, and you're just making them replicate it. It just minimizes the.
I mean, I guess, but like, but I guess I don't. This is one of those things where it also does feel like people are just like trying to make Star Wars small, you know? Like, I just don't know that, like, is it really that big of a deal for something somewhere out in the universe for like this thing to have happened without it having to be necessarily like attached to the Anakin stuff? I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm asking the question of like, how small do we want Star Wars to be? Like it can be special that Anakin was made with the Force. That can be a special thing that happened by the Force. but somewhere all the way across the universe, light years away, there was also this coven once that made people with the Force. I just don't think that one necessarily has to be attached to the other. I don't know. And like, especially if it was made like kind of ambiguous as to whether or not Anakin was created with the Force or if somebody created Anakin. Like, if that's already ambiguous, then is it even breaking the lore to suggest that some random coven somewhere once created a Force user? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
The Anakin Skywalker thing. Granted, the Anakin Skywalker thing and his sacrifice, bringing balance to the Force, has already been minimized. Because
somehow Palpatine returned.
Sure, friend, why not? And the thing that really...
Is that also true? Hold on, because again, for the love of God, correct me if I'm wrong about this in the comments. But like when Anakin brought like peace to the galaxy or something, the prophecy that that we're operating with, did it say the chosen one will bring peace to the galaxy, and then the galaxy will never ever be in danger again? Because I feel like he did, like the prophecy still came true. Like Anakin brought peace to the galaxy, and then years down the line, with a new generation of people, shit started going wrong again. But like, is that really breaking the prophecy of Anakin? Like, he brought peace, and then at some point shit went wrong. I mean, I don't know. Again, it's just making the universe so unbelievably small where like everything has to be attached to fucking the Skywalkers. Everything has to be connected to Luke fucking Skywalker. I don't know.
Bothered me in here is how the Jedi are portrayed. The Jedi just come across as weird, predatory, groomer monk assholes. They show up and they're like, you have force-wielding children on this planet under the law of the Republic. Then the matriarch witch mom's like, we're not under the Republic. I was like...
You might want to figure out where your jurisdiction ends.
But the point is, the Jedi are like, hey, we want to talk to your kids. And the moms are like, no. So instead of fucking right off and taking no for an answer against the wishes of the parents, the Jedi just persist to talk to the kids. Dude was like, I know what you want to see. Ooh, how cool is this? Check it out. You can hold it if you want to. You can hold my really deadly laser sword. Dude, why would you give a kid your weapon? What if the kid was like, oh, this is cool. For context, that is no different than being like, hey kid, you want to hold it? Ooh, check this out. It's pretty awesome. It's not real, just so you know. YouTube algorithm. So they're child napping creeps who are irresponsible with their weaponry. Sure. It's like they took the joke and...
I mean, so from the perspective of the Jedi, the witches are seen as like sketchy people, I think, right? I think that's kind of what they established in the episode. And from what I understood in the episode, the Jedi were, like following whatever their laws were, which is stating that that children should not be learning the Force under the rule of the witches. Like, I think there's a reason why the Jedi, or that there's a reason why they tried to hide the kids from the Jedi, because presumably they were kind of breaking the law there. So I don't know that it's necessarily like predatory, but even then, like this is actually a question that I have. How does this usually happen when the Jedi take kids from their parents? I'm just super curious. Is it usually a thing of like are the parents usually immediately like, no, or are the parents are the parents usually like, yes, take my child, take my child, Jedi. I'm okay with never seeing them again. It's already kind of a fucked up situation if we're being honest, right? Like, by the way, just so we're being crystal fucking clear, this is all manipulating children. Again, if we're going to autistically analyze this, let's autistically analyze this. The Jedi have always manipulated children. The fact that you're not allowed to see your fucking parents after you join the Jedi Order is fucking insane. The fact that you're not supposed to have attachment to your fucking parents, the fact that you're not supposed to like ever love anybody is insane. That is manipulating children. That is cult-like behavior. I'm just saying, like, the idea that what they did in this episode is like, oh my god, I can't believe the Jedi are being portrayed like this. The Jedi have always been kind of fucked up. Like, isn't that... Hold on. Isn't... And again, I'm not a massive Star Wars fan. Please correct me if I'm wrong about any of this. Is it not the entire point of the prequel trilogy to illustrate how the Jedi being, like, cringe led to Anakin growing up and turning to the dark side? Like, is it not the case that the Jedi taking Anakin away from his mom, leaving her to be slaved, they take away her child? Like, it doesn't, like, just to be clear, again, maybe, like, yeah, from what I remember, she, like, willingly allowed Anakin to go. But, just to be clear, they did take her son away from her, left her to be enslaved, and then manipulated a child and trying to tell him to not love his mom. And then telling him that he can't be in love with the girl that he's actually fallen in love with. Just so we're being crystal clear, that is manipulation. That is fucking insane. The idea that what we see happening in the Acolyte Season 3 of like, oh my god, that is so out of line for how the Jedi would be. I feel like a lot of people didn't grasp what I feel like George Lucas put some shit down with the prequel trilogy and y'all did not pick that up. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything.
Ran with it. You know, we've always known Jedi train at a really young age. Like, young Anakin Skywalker at age 9 was too old. So the joke was always, oh, did Jedi just take children against their parents' wishes? Or how does it work? Someone was like, yeah, let's run with that. Make them creeps. I mean, even in Phantom.
What? They didn't, hold on, just so we're clear, they didn't take Osha against the parents' wishes. The mother was going to allow Osha to go with them. So just so we're being clear, maybe it would have gotten to that point. It kind of indicated that it was going to get to that point if they were breaking the law. But just so we're being clear, the mother was going to allow Osha to go with them. In fact, it seemed like May was going to stay at the Coven. Like, again, maybe it would have escalated to a point where they would have kidnapped the kids. But they technically didn't take anybody against their wish or against their will.
Their parents' wishes, or how does it work? Someone was like, yeah, let's run with that. Make them creeps. I mean, even in Phantom Menace, Shmi Skywalker was like, Anakin, this path is laid out for you. The choice is yours. And when Anakin was all on fire, Qui-Gon's like, Anakin, that's a hard life. He just gives him that moment to back out of it and be like, yeah, maybe I don't want to do that. Qui-Gon's so believed.
They gave Osha the same thing. What are you talking about?
That this kid was the chosen one to bring balance to the Force, conceived by the midichlorians. And if Anakin didn't want to go with him, he would have been like, that's cool. I always saw Qui-Gon as kind of a father figure to Anakin. I felt like Shmi Skywalker felt it could be the same. Half expected Qui-Gon Jinn to lay some pipe with Shmi Skywalker in Phantom Menace. They seem to be clicking. If there was any question that Qui-Gon Jinn might have murdered Shmi Skywalker, in which they covered it all up, I would see it differently. It's just how it was executed. When this group of Jedi are looking for these kids and the parents are trying to hide the kids from the Jedi.
Yeah, again, like, because this is another thing, right? Have we ever seen, like, an actual interaction, how it like normally works, where like the Jedi are getting kids? Because like, are we meant to believe that in the world of Star Wars, that like mothers are just like, here, take my baby? I mean, I don't know. Maybe that is just how it normally works. Like, has it ever been like actually established that like the act of getting younglings is like a super cool casual experience? I mean, I don't know.
Prompt here. Okay, can't be that hard.
Well, same energy, as they say, am I right? And I'm not supposed to feel like that when it comes to Jedi, which they've been trying to destroy the Jedi for quite some time. In The Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker was like, the legacy of the Jedi's failure, and fans were like, the fuck? What? Feels like the mindset was like, well...
What are we... Is that not what George Lucas tried to do with the prequels? Am I crazy? Hold on, am I the only person that watched The Phantom Menace and was like, hold on, are they just leaving Shmi? Are they just leaving Shmi on this planet? That's kind of messed up, no? Like I get, okay, like if you're, by the way, this is abusive, but if you're gonna say that I'm not supposed to love my fucking mom, can I at least get her an apartment on Coruscant? I'm not gonna interact with her, okay? Because apparently I'm not supposed to have a relationship with my fucking mom. But can I at least buy her rights back and like get her a place on Coruscant? Am I not like? Why are we not doing this? Is it? Well, I'm sorry. Did all of you people watch that shit and go, yeah, the Jedi are awesome people. Yeah, this is awesome. I just feel like the entire point of the prequel trilogy was to talk about how the Jedi kind of suck. Maybe I misinterpreted.
We'll just keep showing them that, which I will say, the Jedi being creep, we will say antagonists, is the first illustration that this takes place in an era that feels different than the prequel era. Because for all...
Again, I just don't know. I don't know that they were antagonists necessarily either. Because... Like, I feel like he's also, like, really overplaying how it was portrayed in the episode. Like the Coven were not the good people. They weren't the good guys either, right? Like, presumably, the Coven, without, like, the orders of without the leader, like, allowing Osha to go with the Jedi, presumably, if the Coven had their way, they would have also been like, hey, no, you can't leave. Like, you can't go live your life. Which, I mean, I guess fair. She's a child, and those are, like, her parents, kind of. Not really. But, like, I don't know. Like, I just... When I watched the episode, I don't even know that I necessarily... I don't know that I necessarily looked at the Jedi and been like, yeah, you guys are so much worse than the Coven. I don't know that I necessarily felt that way. Like, I'm pretty sure both of these people were, like, kind of sketchy.
All the talk of the Acolyte taking place in a different time, the High Republic, it's just felt like prequel era. If it took place during the Phantom Menace, it'd be no different. Except the zero presence of the Jedi Council, zero form of structure. Like, what do the Jedi do? What are their jobs? Granted, since the time of Return of the Jedi, Star Wars has had that famous line, moment, ideology, concept, that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view. We don't have to have the Jedi come across as dicks. They're villains, but perspective. Don't have heroes. Funny thing about that is whatever heroes usurp the previous heroes because the previous heroes are now villains, those new...
Wait, what is he saying?
Depend greatly on our own point of view. Ideology, concept, that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view. We don't have to have the Jedi come across as dicks. They're villains, but perspective. Don't have heroes. Funny thing about that is whatever heroes usurp the previous heroes because the previous heroes are now villains, those new heroes will be villains to someone else. So it just becomes some arbitrary bullshit. Like, what's the point? After that, the two sisters have...
Is he saying that because the Jedi are supposed to be villains now, that is he saying that the witches are like now that is he saying that Disney is trying to say that the witches, that this coven are now the heroes of Star Wars? Am I the only one that just doesn't get that interpretation? Am I the only one that just didn't get that interpretation from this episode? Like, am I the only one that still feels like Soul and Yord and all those guys are still like the good guys of the story? Am I crazy? Am I wacky? Am I wild? Am I the insane one? What? I don't know. I don't know.
Have a fight. The protagonist sister, who, Osha, she's like, I'm gonna leave. You can't stop me. And her sister's like, I can kill you. I was like, what the fuck, man? And she
yeah, like she's not a Jedi. She's like one of the villains. What? Like I don't know. I don't understand what he's talking about. Where he's saying that the Jedi are no longer the heroes.
Fight. The protagonist sister, who, Osha, she's like, I'm gonna leave. You can't stop me. And her sister's like, I can kill you. I was like, the fuck, man? And she apparently, sure enough, tries. She burns a book, and then a big fire starts. I have to kind of apologize at this point. In the last video, I kind of went in on the fire in space. I didn't know we were dealing with the type of fire that can engulf stone and steel as though it was made out of rice paper. Maybe that kind of fire can burn in space. This big fire breaks out, and Osha's like, what have you done? Her sister's like, what have you done? I wanted her to be like, dude, you locked me in my room and burned my book. You know I didn't do this shit. Which brings me to the questions, because I feel like we don't have all the information in this episode. All the space witches are just dead. The fire just, you hear something shatter. You hear the lantern shatter. And then the fire starts, but you don't see it happen. Big believer, and if you didn't see it happen, they're probably hiding something. The options being the revenge antagonist sister just has zero accountability whatsoever. She's on this revenge quest knowing she started the fire and killed her entire family. Or the Jedi were behind it, apparently. Then all the witches are dead. Did they fight the Jedi? Did the Jedi kill them? After all this happens, it looks like the Jedi just covered it up. It's another thing I hate about this. It's a big Jedi cover-up. I mean, you don't take a 10-year vow of silence.
Yeah, no, that's definitely an interesting situation where, like, to be fair, none of us know what happened here. I mean, presumably the Jedi did something shifty. You know what I mean? Because receding hairline guy, I mean, he's guilty about something. So it is just interesting.
Silence while levitating and then drink poison knowing it'll kill you if you and your crew didn't do something pretty shitty. In the end, yeah, things bothered me in this episode. Will probably bother fans. Judging by the internet chatter, already has. Creating life twins with the Force by illustrating that the true version of the Force is this thread. This is lore-breaking stuff. But making the Jedi come across as...
I just don't know that, like... I just don't know that I viewed that as like as them being like this is actually how it is. When I feel like I just never I don't know, I just didn't take it that way. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe from now and forever they're no longer going to call it the Force and now they're going to call it the thread. I just don't see that happening. I'm going to be for real, no cap on a stack with you. I don't see them now not calling the Force the Force. Something tells me that Disney is not going to start doing that.
Morally compromised assholes, that's just character assassination. But this is...
My brother in Christ, do people really watch the prequel trilogy and go, fuck yeah, Jedi! You guys are so awesome! Is that how people watch the prequels? Maybe they did. I don't know.
This is the same studio that turned Grand Admiral Thrawn into a fucking idiot. I'm not gonna pretend they didn't. Read Heir to the Empire.
I don't know anything about that. Was Thrawn an idiot in Ahsoka? I don't even fucking remember what happened in that show.
You'll see. All right, so Star Wars The Acolyte Episode 3. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Did it betray everything you think about Star Wars? Was it as bad as you heard? Was it better? Was it worse? Do you care? And do you watch Star Wars or do you watch YouTube content about Star Wars? Legitimately asking. Whatever you think, comment below, let me know.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Like, listen, if it was like specifically established before that 100% no cap on a stack, I'm gonna stop trying to be a zoomer. Well, if it was like specifically said and established in the history and annals of Star Wars that nobody else has ever been birthed with the Force, and I guess it's only Anakin. It can only be Anakin. I mean, I guess if that's been established, then I guess I could see that being, at the very least, a retcon. But I also do feel like that's kind of like, is it really the case that thousands of years ago it couldn't have happened? I mean, is it really that big of a deal? Like, I don't think that really diminishes how special Anakin is. Especially considering that Anakin presumably may have been born out of nothing, like, with no manipulation. Like, that still is special. In the same way that, like, I don't think that, like, I also don't really understand, like, the prophecy being disregarded. Because it's like, I don't think the prophecy was like, and Anakin is going to save the universe. And then literally nothing bad is ever going to happen again. It's like, no, he saved the universe for a good chunk of time. Yeah, and then now we're in a different, it's now a different slot of time. You know what I mean? So I don't know. What else was brought up here? Yeah, I just feel like people have, I don't know. I feel like the prequels kind of like established that the Jedi were kind of weird and cringe. I just feel that they did that. Am I wrong about that? Maybe I am. But I never, at no point watching The Acolyte Episode 3 was I like, oh yeah, the Jedi are now the hardcore villains of this franchise. This franchise, Star Wars, not going to be about the Jedi anymore. They're going to make it about the witches. I never felt that way. I just did it. I don't know. But yeah, let me know what you think about any and all this in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.